Hello, Catalyst family. This is Keith Sconyers, and welcome to another episode of the Athlete's Journey podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Mr. Ryan Groth from the Sales Transformation Group, who is a family man, a husband, father, and former professional athlete, and very successful entrepreneur. Ryan Groth, welcome to the show. How you doing this morning?
Hey, Keith, I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Getting up and at it over in, let's see, it's 9 o'clock here. Is it 6 a.m. where you're at?
Yes, 6:12. Yep, a.m.
Oh my gosh. So you're still good.
I'm used to this early morning with the time zones, and I like it actually because get up, day has begun, tons of action, families still sleeping, and then when you're done, they want to hang out. But the thing is, usually puts me about 8 o'clock. I'm about toast. So,
Yeah. Awesome.
But we're good. Yeah.
Cool. And you've been living over there now for, has it been a year?
Yeah, we moved here in April, right? Like smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. There was nobody on the airplane except us, maybe a couple of people. The island was empty with tourism because nobody was coming. It was actually really nice to have the whole island to what felt like yourself for about 8 months.
Wow. I remember the first time I went over to Hawaii, and it was, from where I was flying from Fresno, it was like a 5.5 hour trip, and you get over there and it's just incredible, so very beautiful. Family enjoying it so far?
Yeah, we love it. It's, we surf and hike and play outside. There's a lot of beautiful things to do out here. And yeah, a lot of the families that we get to hang out with and meet, they have a similar, desired lifestyle, right? So it's even if we don't have as much in common, at least we have the beauty of Maui in common and the kids that play and hang out. So we're enjoying the people who've picked up and moved here, right? Because it's like, hey, what do we have in common? Well, we all decided to leave where we were to come to Maui, right? So we're all here, and this is amazing. So I think that's the start that the starting point. But aside from that, we've met some great families and build good connections and community and friends, and there's lots of good stuff going on here. Yeah.
Good. Can you tell us how you started, like your journey? I know we've talked a little bit about how you got started in sports, but could you tell our listeners how you became an athlete and what your career looked like prior to you becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I'm just like a lot of people. If I got into sports, people, you just start playing Little League, right? You start playing Little League. That was the only organized sport I played as a young boy was Spaceball with my dad.
Okay.
What also I think made it unique was, I had a divorce. My parents divorced, and I'm probably just about, for every 10 listeners, probably half of them experienced that. So, that was a bonding moment for my dad and I when I moved in with my dad. It was one of those things where my dad was my dad. He passed right after we got married, unfortunately. But the treasures time that we had, is I'm looking back, I have some boys, 2 boys, 2 girls now. And my dad, we did a lot of Little League. So he was my coach. He definitely had a few year window where he gave me a lot of his best energy around Little League. So I really appreciate him for that, because it got me excited about it. I was excited. And you start to dream and you start to think, I'd like to play professionally. But the thing about my family that I didn't have that motivated me to make baseball work was there wasn't really like a financial path for us. Like my dad struggled financially. He was, paycheck to paycheck. We're eating like DiGiorno and Wendy's and Taco Bell like 4 nights, right? Like that was me and my dad and my bro. It's like the man cave, dude.
Yeah. The DiGiorno. It's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
So we were just killing it on that type of food. And my mom, ended up remarrying, and and I didn't ever live with them until college. But bottom line was I felt that sports were the main like the only way I can envision myself really enjoying a way to make money. And it got me excited because I was, you hear about baseball players minimum league salaries like 400 grand a year. And when your parents have grown up making like 50, tops, you're thinking,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be loaded, right? So
Yeah.
my mind desired success, not because gosh, I've done a lot of self-reflection. I can go for hours talking about some of this type of stuff of why and where this comes from. But bottom line is I saw that was the opportunity for me to kind of earn my way out of where I was. And then also as a teen, I started to experience some other personal things that motivated me to start to really kind of do things differently and not get caught up in what everybody else is doing and choose a path that was uncommon, right? Like going the extra mile with training and not drinking and partying and not messing around with a bunch of distracting type relationships and guys that weren't really going to do it. I started to kind of realize, like, if I wanted to be any good, I have to make sacrifices. And I think that started to hit me kind of late, like my junior year. And I was a football guy too in high school. So dude, get me excited about football. I love it. I was a wideout and I was number one on the depth chart.
Yeah.
For my junior year for wide receiver. That was a big deal. You know what I mean? Like I was the guy.
Yeah.
And I quit because I wanted to focus on baseball.
Okay.
And then we went districts and everyone's like, Groth, man, you. And so I come back my senior year and I play anyway. But that sacrifice was the beginning of, okay, you start to put work in, you start to go the extra mile. You don't just cut out short, or you don't complain when we're running polls or when we're starting to I started to realize like my talent had a pretty high ceiling. And I started because I started growing into my body. I'm long and lean. I'm running like a deer. I got some pop, and everyone's like starting to say things, but I was super raw and I didn't have the foundation that made it evident that I was going to be like a big leaguer, but I had potential. So I started to come late to the party when it came to like, all right, travel ball with the travel teams and being showcase teams. You got to be doing that. And I felt late to the party, but it got me realizing, man, sports is the way for me to find some financial success. And kind of like the guys in the hood playing football, like it's the only way. I wouldn't fully say like I was there, but yeah, I mean, sort of. I mean, my dad was divorced. He used drugs, like pain pill guy. He smoked a lot of weed. Had a lot of weird relationships that I was like 14-year-old doesn't need to be like seeing. And I was kind of like, I want out of here. What do I do? Like, so for me, sports became that. I like school, but at some point, like I was a 3.0 guy with nobody my homework, and I didn't even really try. That was me. Like I was like the 3.0 guy that basically didn't really study. Because I liked to learn and I liked to compete and know where I stack up. But there was all those AP classes. As soon as we went AP calculus, AP history, I was like, I don't know. I don't want to be like competing that hard academically because I'd rather be competing athletically, and I just couldn't do it all. So I decided to pick athletics as my main vehicle to compete and to perform and to understand how valuable I am in the world with respect to what I'm putting my hands to. And that's when I started to like claw and scratch and inch my way upward to whatever that looked like. And there's a whole bunch of stuff after that happened, but that was kind of
yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that and for being just transparent about kind of your dad's situation, where you guys are at as a family, what the economics look like. Do you feel like that propelled you to focus even more on sports because some of those things were happening around you? Or
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like I felt safest whenever I was with like the dad who was always at every game, who like took care. Like I felt the safest with my friends' dads. Right?
Yeah,
like, right. You know what I mean? Like there's those kids whose parents are just so awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like I felt good around those families, and I think
Yeah.
they're genuinely worried about me a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there was nothing abusive going on, maybe a little
Yeah.
neglectful, but like
Sure.
not abusive, right? So I
Right.
feel really grateful. The reason I share all that is because, yeah, I mean, I do have a multi-million-dollar a year business.
Hmm.
We're doing great things. I mean, but look, I'm just like you. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like you. I was just like you, and I still am. But I'm just
Hmm.
decided to begin a transformative life process.
Hmm.
Um, that's important. It's a lot of it's about perspective.
Yeah.
Much to faith, who you surround yourself with, things like that. So, yeah. So
Yeah. What would you say to an athlete that is maybe in high school right now and they're at risk, right? Like I was, you know, right around that as well. I maybe a little earlier, but I lived with my dad, also battled with addiction. He was in construction, so we kind of bonded through work, right? So, I got really inspired being around my dad on the job site. But I also got to see a lot of those weird relationships, a lot of weird drug use and things like that.
yeah,
And I wasn't playing sport at the time, but sometimes you can think that, because you have this situation over here, that you don't have a future, right? And so, what would you say to someone who is maybe still dealing with that, where their parent maybe, going through some challenges, they're still a young athlete? What advice do you have for them
yeah. It's
being in
super
that place?
tricky, right? Because
Yeah.
you have this one side is like they're my parents, and
Hmm.
I'm and in reality is they're responsible for you, but you're not responsible for them.
Mm,
They're your
wow.
parent, you're not their parent. Like
Hmm.
that is a light bulb moment, because I think what happens is a lot of kids, they don't feel. I mean, if it's one thing if like they're sick or something, right? Like legitimately ill.
Hmm.
It's another thing though if they have their own lifestyle choices and that's holding you back. And so there was a point where I was like, Dad, I love you, but I don't like respect you right now,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go for this.
Yeah.
And I know that you are gonna be like probably cheering me on the best you can, but you can't really help right now. I had to
Hmm.
come to terms in my mind about that.
Hmm.
And I feel like that was challenging to do. Um, I'll also note that, and we don't need to go super deep into
Yeah.
this, but I'll also note that that was also a turning point where I started to see faith in my relationship with God as another way that I ran,
Hmm.
which isn't a crutch. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's I'm not going
Sure.
to go into that forever because that's a whole nother thing. But I started to realize my dad is unhealthy. I have sports as a
Yeah.
vehicle somewhere and as an outlet to grow. And I
Hmm.
see that my faith started to draw a clear line of like what to become. Like it kind of
Mm,
made me choose, like, do I say this is the card that's been given to me with my father, or do I say, hey, he's given me his best. I love
hmm.
him.
Yeah.
I respect him. He's got brokenness that he's going to deal with, but
Yeah.
I have to learn and say, I'm motivated now to not do what he did, not because I hate him, but
Hmm.
because I witnessed
Yeah.
what he did well and what he didn't. Let me build off of that, because I
Yeah.
know he would want the best for me deep down in his heart of hearts.
Hmm.
He would want me to succeed. And let me tell you, bro, this is gnarly, but
Yeah.
he never came to one D1 game, never
Mm,
came to one pro game, not because he didn't want to, because he's just so poor and so stuck in
mm,
his
hmm.
world. But dude, that guy, he looked at his MySpace, because that's what he used.
Yeah.
Nothing but Ryan baseball photos.
Yeah.
Nothing but, so he
Yeah.
loved me, but I knew at some, like, there's no way
Yeah.
I would have ever even been able to do that if I didn't have the courage to say, okay, faith people, mentors, other
Yep.
people healthier, with healthier examples of what I'm seeing now. I need to draw near and
Hmm.
extract wisdom and from. And so I would hear the little quips and the catchphrases from the kids' dads who were there, right? And I would
Hmm.
hear things, and I would like receive it like I was his son. And I would
Yeah.
extract as much as I could to kind of get me the structure in my brain and my mind and my heart around making things happen. I would say that from like the age of 16, I was already my own man in a
Hmm.
sense, right? Like, or maybe even 14, where I had to like navigate the world without really a reliable support system.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how it shook out.
I want to acknowledge you for something really quick because it seems like it's a recurring theme that keeps coming up in not only this conversation, but some of the conversations I've seen you've had with other people. And I think you have a superpower for awareness. That is, I think, is uncommon. Like you're talking about where you're at in high school and being around other kids and hearing what their parents said to them and taking that in as if they were speaking to you, to be able to be aware of those things and apply them to your own life. And then also when you talk about, and we'll get into this a little later with family, it seems like you're bringing questions to the table that everyone's thinking but haven't verbalized, right? And we'll get into that as well when you talk about defining success
And
and family,
maybe it's kind of
things like
like
that, you know?
Keith, maybe it's kind of like the guy that's dyslexic, like they can't spell, so they become really good at something else. It's like
Yeah,
maybe a little bit of that. I don't know that, but I knew I had to figure something out.
yeah.
I started to develop something that I had to figure out you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a resourcefulness, there's a scrappiness, there's like a
Mm-hmm.
hunger
Mm-hmm.
that's created when you're in those circumstances. Use either that or I'm going to binge out on video games, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was the top, those are the options. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome, man. So high school. So high school's over. You end up going off to school. Is that what
Yeah.
happened after that?
So
Or okay.
I had a couple of JUCO looks, never any D1 looks.
Okay.
And I had some clubs, like major league clubs, like I heard the Cubs are going to do a tryout with me after school. And I'm like, man, they're going to get hit in the cage and watch me hit. And I was like ready. And dude, the scout didn't show up. I was like, so heartbroken. And, so I was kind of entertaining those things, but listen, like, because of the way my family was, I was like, I got to get a 4-year education from a great school. So my brain was in that mindset. Like, I got to get a backup plan.
Yeah.
So, I was like, junior college is a bad route for that because it doesn't look good on your resume, right? All that baloney.
Yeah.
So I decided when my mom and stepdad, who had moved to South Florida and started a business that seemingly was doing well, more financially than my dad had created, like, oh, cool, they're going to pay for my school and I could live with them. Well, I was disappointed again when, and I don't say again in a sense of like I'm still disappointed, but it was just another hurdle, right? Like, well, I had to pay for my own school, and I did my Bright Futures the best I could to get the scholarship. I navigated the paperwork. I'm working at restaurants, paying my own way, living with them, and doing what an 18-year-old would do, which is hang out with his friends and never be home and come home late. So our family dynamic was pretty interesting because I came right in and kind of disrupted their world a little bit because I'm not really helpful. I'm 18. I'm in school. I'm working out. I'm never home. I'm like another mouth to feed. But bottom line is I came out there and I knocked on the door of the coach's office. I'm like, look, I played Paul and I want to play for you guys. And it was to go to a D1 school and to walk on is like, what? Like, you don't even know, dude. Like, but I had already walked on in the summer when I visited them. There was, imagine summertime, nobody's in school, just the coaches are working. I knocked on a door, told him about it. He's asked me if I had a highlight video, and I'm like, no, I don't, but you can call my coaches. So what happened was I ended up just walking on. They said, you don't need to try, you could try out, but you're already on the team for the fall. Cause they saw that I could hit a little bit. They could see the talent. They could see the hump. But I get out there and I felt like a minnow in a pool of sharks. Like I felt just emotional intelligence, my swagger, my ability to like banter. I just was, because my dad was such a insecure guy. He didn't know how to, he was so offendable. He was like growing up with him, even in high school, I struggled with that dynamic, the locker room component, right? And I go here, I'm like, oh, I'm getting my butt kicked, dude. I can't like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, like the kids who just are clueless that like joking the whole time. And I was that kid. I just had no clue. Right.
Like thin skinned and just.
Yeah. Just didn't know how to like navigate those. I didn't know how to like snarkily push back or to talk smack. And I didn't know how to do that. I was like, I'm like, so like my legs are so like wiggly. The only thing I got like my performance on the field. I had a savvy.
Yeah.
So because that's what dads do. They give you confidence, right? They give you like, they tell you that you're cool and they banter with you and you have that. That's what families do. The healthy families already have that baked in. They're competing every day. They're debating every day. They're trying to get the last bowl of ice cream every day.
Yeah, right.
So there's like stuff like that I walked into that I was like, oh man. And then I also realized I was about $175 whenever I walked in there. So, and then I'm like, dude, I'm weak. Like I need to I'm still got my teenage muscle, puffy muscles going on right now. Like these guys are starting to become men. I need to get better. So I started getting to the gym a little bit, started finally getting serious about the gym. I'm working at restaurants and I'm walking on and I don't excel. Like I'm exposed for sure, but I'm working hard. And they say, look, Ryan, you should go to a JUCO or a D2 or like a smaller school. Like I think you need to play and you're not going to play for a while.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I started to look around and I met this is a cool connection. I met a baseball coach who's the coach who does lessons at the field for a living. You know, those guys who they do okay, everybody knows them. So there's a coach who, listen to this, my high school coach, this coach, and the FAU hitting coach. So 3 coaches, including this new guy I met, all played for the same junior college coach about an hour north. So
what are the chances?
That triangulation of connections got me in the door with this junior college and for a walk-on tryout. And he goes, all right, well, I don't have any scholarships, but you can walk on. So I walk on and I play right field and I hit like 300 and I start to flash like some greatness, dude. I worked at Red Lobster in the fall every night to pay for my dorm, like doing stuff that nobody on the team had to do. Like I was like figuring it out. And dude, like that summer, I get a phone call. The Pirates drafted me in the 46th round.
Wow.
And when that happened, it was like my confidence went through the roof. And I got really serious about the gym that summer.
Yep.
And I gained 25 pounds of muscle. I was about 210. Okay. I was like 205, 210. I'm like, now I'm a man now, and I'm hitting. And then I come back and I play the second year because it was a draft and follow. They don't do this. But team MVP, getting looks from D1 schools. You know, I'm on the map, so to speak. I'm like all conference. You know, I'm like one of the most feared hitters in the league. And I still am a little socially awkward at the time, but I was definitely a lot more prepared after those reps and those couple years in the locker room and being with the guys. And plus, I earned my way by being, you know, the 3-hole hitter and everyone. You know, I'm like physically there's a difference too. So like you can't sit there and like I wasn't an easy target anymore. I started to get my confidence up, and it was fun. I mean, that was a game changer for me. But I still felt a little ill-equipped to play pro ball because what I did was I hit about 450. Yeah, and then I slumped and I finished at like 350. So it was pretty ugly to see the stat drop off. So my confidence was shot. And I was like, I don't want to go play for the Pirates. I'm going to get my butt handed to me. And I felt like on a spiritual level, on a relational level, I was like, and I started to like get a little discouraged, you know? And so I wanted to play D1 ball at a Christian school to build up my faith because I felt like I was just, you know, again, feeling like I was failing and stuff like that. And so I looked at Liberty and Oral Roberts, both D1 Christian schools, and Liberty gave me an offer, which was decent, but ORU gave me an even better one. And they were ranked before. They were ranked in the top 30 the year before that, and they lost to Clemson in the Super Regional. And then I had a buddy who I played travel ball with in high school, who was 2 years ahead of me, play there, and he was a referral. So I went on my trip. They were like, "Yeah, Groth's legit. Get, you blah 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 blah." So if I've always landed somewhere like with some like referral relationship, or like I've always been scratching and clawing my way up. I never had just like the red carpet, rolled out.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was cool. And then, I go play pro ball, or I played with Oral Roberts. And then that's where I had an even better season. I hit for more power. I was just more mature physically and emotionally and mentally. Had a great year. Still had a lot of room for improvement, but I could have stayed one more year for my, redshirt senior season, which I probably should have, because I didn't last as long as I thought I would in the pro ball, but I did. I don't look back and regret anything, but I also had this poverty thing where like, if you don't sign your junior year, you won't get any money your senior year. And because I literally had no family support, I was like, I need that 75 grand. And that's like, if that's all I'm going to get, then, so I kind of, for the sake of money, what does someone who doesn't have any money do when they finally get some money? I bought a truck. I went a bunch of clothes. I ate out every meal. I paid for my friends' meals, and that money was gone, bro.
Yeah.
But that was that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just thinking about, I just had a picture of you just, spending money, spending money.
Yeah, I'm like, you remember Ed Hardy? Remember how popular Ed Hardy was?
A little bit.
I got like an Ed Hardy shirt. It's like glamorous. I bought like some like I just was, I was like, I gotta be cool. I gotta fit in with the pro ball guys. Everyone's like flossing over here. So yeah, it was funny.
And you played for a couple years in pro?
Yeah, I played a few seasons. Yeah, I played the Orem Owls and the Cedar Rapids Colonels, and then I played for the River City Rascals in independent ball, and then I played for the Washington Wild Things in independent ball, and then hung them up.
And then what about the Los Angeles Angels? Is that?
Yeah, the first two teams were in the minor league system of the Angels.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Okay. And then when you got done with that, what was your transition like from being an athlete, professional athlete, to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so that was thankfully I had a little bit of enough of a faith foundation, because if most people, when that's all they know, coming from places like me, that's their identity, right?
Yeah.
So like, you find your value there, you find your worth in that place. You don't have any other place to pull from. So yeah, what I did was I got a couple of random transition jobs coaching kids down in South Florida, where my mom and stepdad had moved. I had built, I didn't move back with my dad. I wanted to kind of start a new chapter, and felt good there in South Florida. So I got connected, started working at a shuttle bus company, making $8 an hour plus tips, started coaching kids. I got like this random sales job at a college, selling admissions to like, low economic areas with unaccredited, programs. Like I was doing that for a year, hated it.
Yeah.
And like, I can't go to sleep at night thinking I'm actually helping this person. Like it's not working, so I felt bad about that.
Yeah.
But I also was very motivated to start a family. So my wife of now 10 years and 4 kids.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. My greatest accomplishment for sure. She had had a similar journey with me, but in dance. So she did some pro dancing, like ballet and modern. And so we both kind of bonded around this. We were once, this type of athlete, and now we're both coaching the kids in the community. We should do family together. So we started a family. So Lindsay and I, got married, not at a pretty short dating and engagement period, not long. We dated 6 months, we're engaged 6 months, and we're married. And both of her parents had already passed. My dad had passed after we got married. My mom was, doing her own thing. So we basically were like, all right, So we started surrounding ourselves with all the homeschool and Christian school parents of the kids that we would coach and get mentored by them, and just it started to like just bring this like community around us. And we had so many people at our wedding just because they all love Ryan and Lindsay and who we were. That was so cool to like build that kind of family in that kind of way. And so we did. And one of the things that had happened was I had met a guy who had 3 sons and one on the way, and him and his wife, they're just beautiful couple. He had already gotten into entrepreneurship, and he was a stud, like killed it. Range Rover or wagon. I'm like, who's this guy? And he seems cool. Like, because my mind as an athlete was to try to be pro, was already in that place where I'm thinking one day I'm going to make a lot of money. Like, I'm not saying I either will or I won't. I'm like, I'm going to find a way. And so when I met him, we started building a relationship, and I was coaching. I got his boys involved in some of the things I was coaching. He was an athletic guy, played basketball in high school. And then after he did a few startups, went and played semi-pro basketball, like as a 6'1" white guy, like playing like for real, like with guys who play D1 ball, like on a semi-pro team.
That's super cool.
And I was like, this guy's different. And like, so we bonded pretty quickly. And we were down hanging out one day, and there's 2 things that I brought to him that I remember. It's a huge part of my story. One was I was like, I got to find a way to make some money. So what can Lindsay and I do? Let's do beach group workouts. So I started a company called Fortify Fitness, like Fortify, like Fortify Fitness, and come out $10 a person per group class. And we're going to run group coaching for workouts. We're making like an extra $100. We're like, we're going to the grocery store, baby. And Lindsay and I are reading like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and The Millionaire Next Door. And she and I are just trying to get our heads around money and doing it well and being good stewards. And so we're like fully united on like, and this is something I've never shared on a camera, we even like got inspired by trash pickers who would go in through garbage dumps and find food that was still good and do that to save money. And we did that one day. I'm like, Lindsay, we are never doing this again. Please stop. Like, so we weren't that poor, but we were just that committed. Like, we were that humble. Like, we'll do whatever. And so
wow.
I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna find a way to make some money, because this isn't gonna and Lindsay and she would scratch her head saying like, well, how's this gonna work? I'm like, just trust me. Trust me, because I know that when I figure out what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be the hardest worker, because I already demonstrated what I could do. I overcoming the odds with baseball. And I know if I can get the right way, I'm gonna do it. So what I did was I talked to my friend who I told you about, and he said, bro, like, it's too cheap. Like, you're not charging enough. And I'm like, okay, probably do like 60 grand a year, maybe like that with a few locations at this model. And he just kind of, as an entrepreneur, gave me that thought. And I'm like, well, that's not bad. But 2, that's where my dad, that was his max, right? It's like, I'm not going to stay there. I got to find a way to go beyond what he told me. And I was motivated to hear that. He was saying in a loving way, in so many words, that that's not a lot of money. And then I asked him, what do you think I should do? He goes, bro, I think you should get into sales. You're a competitor. You're a communicator. If I saw you and I had one of my other companies, I'd hire you in a heartbeat. And I'm like, wow, I never had somebody that I looked up to in that way outside of baseball, or, my grandparents who were missionaries in the faith realm, speak to me in that way. And the time that I needed it, when I have a wife here and a baby on the way, and I don't want to go back to like, I don't want to live a poverty life or whatever. So when he said that, it was just like nourishing to my being. I was like, well, I will do this. So I started to realize that sales was good. Like, sales wasn't something was weird. Like, so I started to look at sales jobs. And when he realized that I'm not joking and I'm going to listen to him, he was like, okay. So he introduced me to one of the most trusted advisors in all of South Florida when it comes to business giving and like charitable giving. He's like super connected. And so I meet this guy, and then he's like, I think I have the perfect person. And it was a roofing contractor who who had built a sales team for his commercial business.
Okay.
And he had built a sales product, a CRM company, a
Huh.
program for himself that he thought maybe I should take this to market and help the industry. And so what happened was I got the invitation as a referral from a trusted person in South Florida, from a referral from my buddy, to lead this startup with him.
Wow.
And then I got exposed to just the business world with my friend on like the line for the first year and a half. Just every day, I'm like, hey, they want to do this. What should I do? And I just like ask him a million questions. He told me he's actually joining as a partner this month. So I'm so pumped because he and I are gonna tear it up together.
Yeah,
But
I love that.
He said I was introducing him to a teammate on my team, and he goes, yeah, Ryan and I talked more than my wife during that first year and a half, So it was really cool because I got surrounded by people when I took action with the resources that were available to me. And when, I think success, and you mentioned this earlier, but success is being faithful to grow all that's been entrusted to you. That's your relationships, that's your network, that's your finances, that's your business windows of opportunity. And so with that, I feel like the entrustedness, if that's even a word, the things in which the things in which I was entrusted, the opportunities, I really knew how to sacrifice at that point. So I wasn't thinking about, oh man, I got to go to the beach today, or I can't wait to go fishing. I was like, dude, I ain't fishing. I ain't playing nothing. I got to make money for my family, and this is an opportunity. Let's freaking go. And that's how it all started back in 2013. There.
Wow. Test to testimony, right? It seemed like you've been through all these different situations where you had to prove yourself, you had to grow, you had to be in uncomfortable situations. And I think that the awareness that you applied, the focus that you put on pursuing the right people around you and surrounding yourself with the right people, and then taking action, like what you're talking about with this mentor you had, where you had already developed a mindset, right? You had a particular mindset that was all in on trying to take care of your family, right? To the tune of being able to go and do dumpster diving. Right. And that is, I think so many times we think that there's a certain strategy, or there's a certain person, or we need to come from a good family, or we need to have our ducks in a row in order for us to be successful. And we build that narrative that because we didn't have it, we can't have it in terms of the success that we want to have in our life. And I think that your story proves that if you have the proper mindset and you keep working at it, you keep adjusting, you keep trying opportunities, and you get around the right people, then people will recognize that, and then someone will show up, the guide, the mentor.
When the student is ready, the teacher will come.
Yeah, it's so true, right? It's so true. So then you went and applied that, and you ended up having the opportunity to work within a startup to take their product and take it to other companies. What happened after that? So how long were you there, and how did that turn into you doing what you do today?
Yeah, that was critical and foundational. I like to say whenever I got in there, I was like, I don't know this business, but I'm the perfect canvas to paint on. I remember thinking to myself, you can't paint on a canvas if it's not a canvas, right? So it's like, at least I'm a canvas. I got a canvas. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I'm work. I'm teachable.
Yeah.
I'm committed. So I was like, so I kind of just became an absolute sponge that grew like a weed, because I got into an environment where the startup leader, I'll credit him, although he wasn't like seriously a startup tech company. Like, he was a roofing contractor that had a product that he wanted. But he, as a mentor, was very, very useful. And he saw where I was, and I was open about my journey. I've always lived pretty authentically, and I feel like that earns a lot. That opens the opportunity to build trust. But then when there's competency that follows right away, then that builds real trust. And so what I've done is I've been authentic, and then I've learned the competency of his business. very quickly. And that allowed me to kind of get into other businesses that were like him in the trades very quickly and establish a great amount of trust and authority and speak with authority in their business. And so as the reality is we didn't have this product that was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest sense, whatever. It looked like a roofer built it, right? It was like, and I'm over here doing everything I can to make somebody want to use it. So what I realized was this industry as a whole doesn't see the value in a product like this because their sales undereducated. They're just not business savvy as other industries or other venture capital partners. They know the value of basic business fundamentals, like in tech, for example. So what I realized was that this landscape is completely wide open for figures of authority to teach them the reasons why they ought to be using a CRM, for example. And the reality is I realized that the reasons why they're not embracing the CRM is because they're not a sales oriented, growth minded company all in and of themselves. So what I had to do was start to become a source of information and motivation to give them the reasons why they ought to be building a sales team so that they could use the CRM. So basically I had to get so resourceful that in order for me to really actually bring value for people to buy the product, I had to become somebody that they would want to listen to and actually give them enough valuable information for them to embrace it, buy it, and use the product. So I became this industry thought leader by accident, right? Rather, really, like I did it because this is what the problem was before me. It's like, I'm either going to solve the problem or I'm going to say, oh man, this industry doesn't use your system. It's their fault. So I took full ownership and said, it's not their fault per se. I'm not creating enough value for them to want to use it. So I was like, I got to create the value. So I started to become a sales and business thought leader and treated that business like my own, although it never was my business. I was hoping it would be. So that's part of the thing. My journey was I was thinking maybe the old carrot dangling effect would eventually come true. It never did. But what I'm thankful for, as much as that was challenging not to get it, I was grateful for the exposure of relationships, the exposure of thought of a $60 million business, the simple, statements that he would make that would show the way he perceived things, and that awareness. I was like, I'm doing math here. I'm connecting dots. I'm seeing patterns. That's all I need to see. I never sold a roof in my life, but I'm teaching companies how to sell roofing. But because I didn't need to have done that. I got exposed to a different level of boardroom. I got different types of exposure than that allowed me to create the value. And so, so when I did that, I started to realize people had to buy me in order to buy the consulting. So I had to convince them that I was valuable. And so the reality is I actually became valuable. And a lot of people wanted to work with me, and they bought from me, and I got referrals that people called me, and I got to speak at conferences. And the roofing contractor kind of like gave me the boost where it was my time to shine, because at the end of the day, that's all we really had was our ability to create value and change thought, because we didn't have a developer team. We weren't building an aggressive build out product. We weren't killing it in that way. And so we had to do what we knew how to do. And I didn't think he didn't know what he had to actually do to make the software successful. He was treating it like he did his roofing business. He's a super smart guy. So the whole way in which we created the business was around information transfer in a lot of ways. So it was about 2016, where I was traveling so much, and my wife and I were feeling it. Our marriage was being challenged big time. And I pressed the emergency button. I was like, we need to do a big vacation. So we got away, we did a week long tour up the Pacific Coast Highway. We went from Florida to California and just
Yeah.
enjoyed the way. And it was in that moment I realized, like, I can't be Ryan, the consultant. Because if somebody were to ever buy this company, which is the desires of, the company is to make it, valuable enough to sell, I'm in the way. And I'm like, guys, I can't be Ryan, the guy who you have to rely on. So I started to think, well, let's just be a tech company. And when we started bringing in consulting revenues that I created, that definitely affected the company's, balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
I think I became less valuable because why? Well, because I'm not a developer. I'm not making the software. I'm the consultant who's teaching people how to do something, but not getting paid for it anymore. And so for me, I was like, it was perfect because I laid my consulting hat on for the greater good of the business, which we all agreed. And then it actually cleared and created space for me in the market to, once that dust settled there and they were underway, I had the courage, and people gave me the courage at the right time. Certain people, angels, man, like telling me, like, the right people at the right time. They're like, you should go on your own. And I was like, really? No, I'm so bought into this vision. And so I ended up starting STG for 2019. And let me tell you, like, it was on like Donkey Kong. Like, they wanted to work with me. They knew that I worked in that organization.
Yeah.
And they trusted me, and they respected me. And there was just like a lot, like I went through it and I earned my stripes. I became that man. I went through trial and error. I went from boy to man to I'm a real valuable person in the market to, dude, I'm like doing my own thing now. This is my ship. I got 4.5 years of failures, of learning lessons. So when I started it out, I just shot off, and, we've just been, able to see great growth. And there's a lot. I'm hitting a wall right now. We're trying to break through the next level, but then super fun. But that's what had happened after that. Once I became Ryan, the coach, the growth guy, the guy that cares about family, cares about growth, cares about systems, processes, has been around sophisticated, sales and business environments in an unsophisticated business world. For the most part, I became somebody who started to lead, and it became very fulfilling and lucrative.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think that is, that's cool, man. I mean, to go from having that time there at that company to really sharpen your saw, build an organization, get it to where it needed to go, to where it can kind of take its next step, and then you could take your next step. Is any of this something that an athlete that is maybe playing pro now, like, what do you think the lessons are when you look back on your journey and everything that you've been through? What do you think someone who's currently playing sports can apply right now? Because a lot of times there's a lot of advice, like we give advice to athletes, but there's a lot of people in our space that give advice to athletes. And one of the things I hear is that, well, I'm an athlete right now. I don't have time to really think about what's next, right? After sports is over. Like, what do you think from your story an athlete can apply in their current, whether they're playing professionally or playing in college or playing in high school, where at any point,
I mean, think about this. Guys who are in the Hall of Fame are still taking jobs to be analysts.
Mm-hmm.
You think they'd hire that guy if he was a jerk or if he had a bad reputation? No, they had to hire him because of who he was, how he went about his business when he was playing.
Mm-hmm.
Take the most successful athlete, and they're still doing that, or they have business ventures, or you can have somebody who's great, but like Mariano Rivera, people would want to work with him because he's an amazing guy. But if you pick up another guy, they may say that guy is a blank, blanky.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to work with him. And so reality is you have the D1, the D2, the pro athlete badge. You're going to get in the door, but are you going to be somebody that people want to invest into? That has to be who you are. So how do you go about your business now? How do you build relationships with coaches? How do you build relationships with your teammates? How you respect your work ethic? Like if you work hard now and you are you are one who, obviously, I actually think that extreme hard work is a negative. I can get I used to be the guy who worked so hard, but I didn't have confidence deep down, right? So it's like overcompensating. So
Yeah, sure.
I think that just bottom line though is like you are going to repeat in the next level what you're currently doing today. So if your character lesson, your lessons of character building and your relationships that you're building is the bedrock that you're going to take whatever you do. If you're getting released from pro ball, or if you didn't make the team your junior year of D2 ball, I don't care, or you're a Hall of Famer, you're going to carry over who you are and your habits. So I would strongly recommend that you take this job of you being in the lineup and you leading the team as seriously as you would as a job that you had to if you was your own company or you're starting to work for somebody and they're going to promote you. You better treat this the same way, because you're not all of a sudden going to change when it comes then. You're going to be you now. So be somebody that you are proud to see go to the next level. Would you hire you if you had a company? Would you want you on your team? Would you hire yourself? And at the end of the day, you're probably answering that and saying, I have room to improve. Let me apply this today. If you're drinking, partying, lazily, last of the huddle, walking off the court or the field versus running, if you're insecure, if you're not fun to be around, or if you're not inspired, like think about all those things. If you're bad with your grades, would you want to hire you? Are you messing around? Are you mischievous? Are you like, what are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
So I think that athletes have the benefit of flashing this badge of like, look at me, but who are you after that's going to everything. And so what I did was I dug deep early on, and I wanted my heart and my mind to be open to the things of my faith, was transform my character and gave me perspective of my future and gave me a core value set that if I live by, that no one could point a finger and say, you are A, you're B. They could point a finger and say, man, this is what we want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I respect that, man. And I love that. I think that this is a kind of a reset point. This is like halftime for a lot of athletes or even individuals. It doesn't have to be an athlete. It could be anybody that is thinking about wanting more. It's like, who are you? Like, would you recruit you as an athlete? Would you hire you as an employee? Would you marry you as a spouse? And I think bringing that to the table, I want to talk about the common thread that I saw in a lot of your videos. I watch a lot of either, obviously in today's world, when it comes to like Instagram or Facebook or social media, everybody appears to be a multi-billionaire on the internet and is doing incredible, right? But so they got the car, they got the nice offices and different things. And one thing I want to talk to you about or just have you expand on is the importance of defining success and also defining success for the family. Because I was listening to a podcast where you're talking about, you're building a brand, you got a team, you're excited, you're fired up, you're making money, and the kids are at home wondering like, what about our brand? What about the family brand? What about us? What about our, the spouse isn't happy. And I've had that as well in terms of the journey that I've been on as an entrepreneur. So can you talk about defining success as an entrepreneur or even as an athlete in the future in terms of defining their success and why that's important holistically? Yeah.
This is good. I think that you got to dig down and ask, why are you even doing anything? And I think for me, I found that with reflection, I wanted to feel safe. My parents are divorced, my dad's lifestyle. So I'm like, I want to make a lot of money because I want to feel safe. And I think that's important. But then at the end of the day, does my family feel that way too? Like, what else makes me feel safe is staying married and my kids loving me and having a lot of them, grandchildren. Like, there's just so many things that come with success. So for me, I started to realize that success isn't be somebody who makes this much money. Success is it's like athletes. It's like, hey, I'm successful if I hit 350 homers. I'm successful if I win the status of first team all conference, or I'm successful if I sign a big contract, right? So you can see that there's tangible outcomes.
Yeah.
think that what happens is when you do that and say, I want to be a millionaire by 30, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start to have these tangible, like those are goals, but that shouldn't be your definition of success.
Mm.
Success should be a different definition. So what I've done after me realizing that I'm chasing things that are affecting my family negatively or this or that, and I'm doing it because I was a broken little boy and I want to feel safe about myself. So let me be as influential and as famous or whatever I can possibly be to make me feel special. I'm like, dude, is this really like why I exist? I mean, are you kidding me? I look deep. I'm like, I'm like, this is a joke. Like this is not who I actually want to be. Like, this is the truth. And I look in the mirror regularly and I'm like, am I who I really want to be? And so when I look back and I started to define success, I've been able to define this and keep it for about a year and a half now. So it's holding strong.
All right.
And it already once on the call is on this interview is success is being faithful to grow or multiply all that has been entrusted to me. That's success. So like, I feel like if I'm growing, whether it's taking some real honest feedback, taking that for what it's worth, if it's iterating my business, if it's instilling a lesson in my children, if it's going from one home to another home that's going to serve a greater purpose to help do this or that, that is become success for me. And whether I sell this company one day for, tens of millions of dollars, I'm not going to say, oh, cool, I made it, because success isn't a tangible event. It is part of my DNA now. Like, I'm like, so I'm not hard on myself in that way where I'm like, oh, I didn't do enough crunches today. I'm not that intense, but I'm like, I'm just more holistically envisioning, am I growing all that has been entrusted? So right now I have a beautiful wife. She has, God's given us 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. We're thinking about a 5th now. Because so grateful. I'm so grateful, bro.
Like, you're not thinking about it if you just said it out loud.
Yeah, it's been, after each one, it takes about 9 months for us to like figure out, do we want another one? But when we get through the worst of it, it's like, man, these kids are so beautiful. Like, they're ours, right? We get to create opportunity for better humans to go into the world where, most, you look at China, they're trying to tell you can't have kids. Like, and I mean, who knows? That might be us in the next 10 years. And,
I know.
You never know. Like, so I just see an opportunity to create a legacy and in part, the DNA of who Lindsay and I have become through our difficulties, and help our children take that to another level. So like, and each one is so unique and so special. And so all that to say, the family, so what we did was we started to get connected to some resources. So there's a friend of mine on the island named Jefferson Bethke. And he's got a business partner named Jeremy Pryor. And so they have a business called Family Teams.
Oh, okay.
They actually teach people how to create family teams on mission, like multi-generational family teams on mission.
Okay.
We need that, bro. Because we started to read the book, and Lindsay and I were stoked on it. And I'm a part of one of their mastermind groups called Integrated. And it's a bunch of like men who are business owners who have families and have faith bonds. So all 3 of those components in one. So I'm like, all right, yes. So I'm looking at my family, and and Lindsay and I already had this concept already in our culture, but this just solidified it. So we created an Instagram called Team Groth.
Okay.
So we have this is our outlet where Lindsay and I talk about our family and talk about our family team. And this is what we share with our friends, like what's happening with our family team versus I'm in my lane, she's in her lane. No, we have a family team. And we do a hands in, and we say Team Groth on 3, and it's super corny, but we do it because our children know that they're a part of a team, and I'm the leader, and my wife, my equal counterpart, and our oldest is the oldest. Like everyone plays a part of a team, and it's like the Incredibles, right? Like they all got their on, and we all have special powers. And we, when we did that, it's so powerful because I'm like, okay, if and when my son, right, let's say he's playing collegiate or pro ball, or my other son is getting into something where it's hard, they're alone. I mean, dude, could you imagine like your family supporting you along the journey every step of the way? Like, I didn't feel that. I don't know what that was like. Lindsay didn't know what that was like. So we just know it's going to be cool. And look, that's whatever they do. It's not their identity anyway. It's just something we do. So it's been a super fulfilling journey. I mean, I wouldn't replace it, but now whenever I go travel for work, which I still do, they're all with me. They're praying for me, or they're behind me. They're wishing me a successful trip. I'm thinking about them, what's happening while I'm gone. We're all supporting each other. And as I provide, protect, and lead our family, and Lindsay nourishes and protects and loves on our family and things like that. So it's super fun. I don't know if that answered your question, but defining success is being faithful to grow and multiply everything that was entrusted. There's a story that it's in the Bible that talks about the servants getting entrusted by the master a degree of talent, right? So one was given 1 talent, another one was given 3, and another was given 5. One talent, he ended up, or the one with the 5 talents doubled it. 3 talents doubled it. The guy with 1 talent buried it. Nothing with it. And then the master comes back and was like, dude, these guys made it grow. I'm going to give them more, but you buried it. You at least could have put it in the bank for it to grow. Like, get out of here, wicked servant. And he kicked him out and told him he was wicked. And so for me, I'm like, whatever I'm given, it's opportunity, resources, a customer, a team member, a family, a mentor, a day, your food. It's like, am I growing what's being entrusted to me, or am I letting it sit? And so for me, it's become this reiterative action, lifestyle of making things grow. And I have a long way to go. I'm not doing cryptocurrency or anything yet. There's things I'm not doing on a personal level, getting our house in order. There's a lot of that stuff, but I'm always open-minded to that because I know that's success.
I love that, man. I think to the athletes that we're speaking to today, I think that what you just said, I think to encapsulate it is to be faithful over few, and you'll be, is that what it is? If you're faithful with few, you'll be trusted with many.
Definitely, bro. If you're faithful with your teammates, you're faithful with your coach relationship, you're faithful with your grades, you're faithful with your health and your fitness and your workouts, right? You're faithful with the information that's coming in and out of your brain. You're faithful with, all right, that's a relationship that's unhealthy, whether they're doing drugs or your parents. Think about all the things you already have to be faithful with right now. You have a parent who's either for you or not for you. You have brothers and sisters. You have time that you could be faithful with. You're either reading books that's helping you grow, or you're watching Instagram and you're getting distracted and filling up your brain with nothing. Like, think about all the things we need to be faithful to grow. Think about it. It's so much. And then, so as you're giving more, like, would somebody trust me with a company? I remember one day I was just like in like a place of prayer, and I was like, if I had a $100 million company and it was given to me, it would die. It would destroy it, because I wouldn't know what to do. I haven't demonstrated that I'm worthy of being entrusted that. So what do? I got to do with what I got. And I guarantee to you, if you make it grow, you'll have an opportunity for more. It's just the way the world works. So I just, athletes have an unfair advantage because everyone loves athletes. Everyone loves performers. Everybody loves that. Like, you could sit there and say, I went to a highly touted musical academy, and people are like, well, but you say I played college football. They're like, well, what, do you want to work for me? Right.
Right.
That's how it works. So it's like, we have an unfair advantage as athletes. Be faithful. Be the guy that for the next 5 to 10 years, your strength coach is like, dude, Keith was a beast. That guy was early. He showed up. He didn't slack. He was fun, but he got to work. I always had a lasting impression of Keith in the gym. Or the guy, like, be that guy. Because if not, you're just going to be stuck in the field of everyone else and not really be different anyway. So
Yep. I love that, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you being with us today and sharing from the heart things that you didn't have to share and representing a message that I think a lot of athletes and I think a lot of people in general would benefit from having that conversation that you're putting out there in terms of like being faithful with all the different aspects of your life, where you're at right now, if you want to have a better future. And, when it comes to whether it's your family, your business, your playing time, your sports career, whatever that may look like. And I wouldn't have had you on this show if I didn't know that you were actually living it. I heard the story about why you moved to Hawaii and how it was your wife's dream to be there, and you had to change a lot of things in your business. It wasn't convenient. You did what was necessary to honor the message that you're out there preaching. And so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being with us today. Is there anything that you want to wrap it up with?
I don't know. I mean, I think if I'm an athlete, if you're an athlete listening to this right now, or you're anybody listening to this, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things I could say, but I would just say, dig deep, look in the mirror, write on the left side of your page on a notebook and say, here's everything that I'm responsible for. Am I being faithful with it? And then if it's something that you don't see the upside to be faithful with, I'll just scratch it and then move to the right side of the page. Everything that that you have the energy, the care, the desire, you feel like the upside is there. It makes sense. The math adds up. It's not like a detractor, because we can't eat, or we can't do a million things at once, right? We can't multitask. It's like impossible. So being able to concentrate and focus by a process of elimination, ask yourself, am I being faithful in the gym? Am I being faithful with this extra class I just added to my schedule? Is it necessary? Should I do it somewhere else? Am I being faithful with study hall, or am I trying to hang out with my girlfriend? Maybe she's really not. I'm going to marry anyway, so I probably ought to have this relationship. The Friday nights and Saturday nights when people are partying at the fraternity, is that going to give me the upside that I know I need long term? Probably not. That fraternity guy may hire you, but you can call him anytime and he'll hire you if he's got a great job anyway, not because he drank with them. Right. He's going to be anyway because of who you are. So just be doing the math, eliminate, focus, and go from there.
I love that. Awesome. Is there anything, or how do our listeners get in touch with you or follow your content?
Yeah. So we have YouTube, Sales Transformation Group.
Yeah.
And you can check out our Instagram, Sales Transformation Group. I also have LinkedIn, and I'm on Facebook as well. I'm on those 4. I don't do Twitter or Snapchat. And then I have my Instagram. If you want to check out our Instagram, that's where a little bit more of my personal side. And then I have our Team Groth Instagram, which is even more personal with our family dynamics. So I would encourage you to check all that out if you want to get a good feel. And then, our company, we have a pretty cool vision, and we're seeing that we're definitely becoming a platform for whether you're an expert consultant who's struggling to migrate to the world of online and groups. I'm actually helping and partnering with the right brands for that. Okay. And then we're at ourselves directly to the construction industry by providing growth platform products to help them grow their businesses. So a lot of fun stuff happening. I'm open, from a professional standpoint, to entertain people who may want to get involved with us somehow as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll definitely be following. I'm definitely going to take a look at everything that you have going, especially with Sales Transformation Group, since we work with so many entrepreneurs, especially in the contracting space. And so I appreciate you. I just appreciate you being on the call today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great dialogue. You asked great questions. So thanks, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Take care.